first things first. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wildes. Nick, is Danny right?
Oh, I'm not so sure about that. We'll get into it. I don't know about that, Danny. Danny had some hot takes yesterday, Jenna.
Somebody's right. There's got to be a winner in that one right there. All right, well, let's talk about Tom Brady. The Bucs quarterback is 43 years old, and while age is just a number in our lives, it is not just a number in the life of an NFL player. It is usually a retirement signal, unless you're Tom Brady, who continues to battle and beat Father Time. And as he prepares for his 10th Super Bowl, he was asked how long he plans on playing. Take a listen to this.
Would you consider playing beyond 45, especially with the way you're playing right now?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely consider that. And, you know, again, I think, it's a physical sport, and just the perspective I have on that is, you know, you never know kind of when, that moment is, just because it's a contact sport and there's a lot of training that goes into it. And again, it has to be 100% commitment from myself to keep doing it. So, been very fortunate, like I said, over the years.
Look at that guy. That guy's 43 years old. Brandon, are you buying that Tom Brady can play to 45 and beyond? You know this game.
Absolutely. Why not, Jenna? He's 43 now and still playing at a high level. And a lot of people around the league think he's playing better this year than he did 5 years ago. So absolutely. Let me give you a few reasons why. Number one, toughness in the position. Let's start there with the position. This is the quarterback position. This isn't the running back position. If this was any other position on the field, we may not be having this conversation. He's protected. The second one is toughness. Look at Eli Manning and Peyton Manning towards the end of their career. They didn't want to get hit. They were getting that ball out quick. If the guy wasn't open in their first read, that ball was coming out. They were going dive into in the dirt. Not this guy. This guy, he obviously nobody really wants to get hit, but he's sitting in the pocket waiting for Mike Evans, waiting for Antonio Brown, waiting for Gronk to get down the field to let the ball go, and getting smacked in the mouth. And the last thing is the things that you guys don't see. And Jenna, you would appreciate this because you embrace the lifestyle of an athlete. You embrace the health and wellness lifestyle. Training. Training is so much more advanced today. Modern athlete, modern science, modern technology. There's so much things that we can do now as athletes that they couldn't do in the early 2000s or the 90s and certainly not the 80s. So training is so much better. Neuromuscular system, the muscular system, making sure everything's turned on. You see this with LeBron James in basketball. Fuel. 70% of the results you're going to get is how you eat. Look at the guy's face. He's so lean, so trim, so freaking good looking. And it's because of how he's eating and what he's putting in his body. Macronutrients, micronutrients matter. Supplementation matter. Mental fitness. You got to be able, as a professional athlete, lean on both ends of the spectrum. Whether you're dealing with impairment, anxiety, depression, or whatever that is, but also high performance. Like, how do I get the most out of my body? How do I optimize my health and my performance? Recovery, sleep. Nick, you get on this guy all the time about his sleep, but guess what? That's the reason why he's going to play until he's 45, and the team around him. You think about Alex Guerrero. Guys like that have a team that helps them get to the next level, and he's on a mission. The last thing I would say here is the TB12 method. That's a business for him. He is trying to define what the modern athlete looks like and how we can push things forward. This is business for Tom Brady. If he plays till 45, the TB12 method will be everywhere.
Well, so that's why he had always said he wanted to play until he was 45, which would take you through the end of next season. He was very clear about that. And it wasn't just that he wanted to keep competing and winning. It was he does have a business associated with him being the best and the preeminent spokesperson for it. But with how he's played this year, he now is potentially considering pushing that horizon even past, his current contract with the Bucs. And so I want to take everyone on a quick kind of history lesson, because if you'd have asked me this any time in the last couple of years, I would have said absolutely not. But this year has rewritten it somewhat. In 2016, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl executes the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. In 2017, he wins league MVP and throws for 500 yards in the Super Bowl, but his defense couldn't get a stop. They lose 41-33, if I remember correctly. And then the steep decline began. 2018, his touchdowns, yards, completion percentage rating were down from the previous year, and he was bad in the playoffs. 2019, his touchdown, yards, completion percentage, and rating were even further down from the previous year. It was going like this, and he was one and done in the playoffs for the first time in forever. And then in 2020, everything's back up to 2017 levels. He has 40 touchdowns, 4,600 yards, 102 rating, 66 completion percentage, all the highest he's had in the last 4 seasons. And so Wilds, if the trajectory continued, then it would have been very clear that, no, this is the end of the road, and we saw it coming over the last few years. But the fact that he jacked it back up this year, even if he hasn't played great in the postseason, I don't think most people would say he's played great in the postseason, it certainly has extended the runway for him of how long, realistically, he can keep going.
Yeah. So, Brandon, I think you made a good point when you say, like, his professional and his personal and his business interests are all intersecting. Like, we know that his passion is health and wellness and that he can be, like, the ultimate spokesperson. So the question I have for you is this. There was also talk about him sort of not having, like, the arm strength in New England, that he just, like, the eye test wasn't there. And like Nick said, all the stats were all awry. Do you see, and I'm just a regular old layperson here, but to me, it looks like he has more sort of, lollipop would be a negative term, but more like nuance on the ball, more touch on the ball, like the ball's coming in a higher trajectory that maybe allows him to extend his career longer than just like throwing the ball like Josh Allen, for example.
Yeah, that's the myth when it comes to the quarterback position. We always think about guys like Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. They have to have this super live arm. That's not the case. Look at LeBron James in basketball. LeBron James is becoming just a deadly three-point shooter right now. He's evolving. He's taking his game to a whole nother level. So it's the same thing with the quarterback. You don't have to have this live arm. But what you need to have is the wherewithal to be able to lead your team in key moments, and then also that touch. And that's what you're seeing with Tom Brady. The game is slow. It's slower than anybody else on the field, and he can pick and choose in his timing where he wants to go with the ball. So as long as he's ahead of the defense, the defensive coordinators and the quarterbacks, he will always be a guy that can play in the league. So it's not always about the live arm, Nick.
I also think, Brandon, there is... And Wilds and I think, talked about this off the air about a month ago. But he is very strategic, I think. You mentioned he's willing to stand in the pocket. But I think he is smartly strategic about this. And you mentioned LeBron. I think it's similar to LeBron in years past deciding when he is and isn't going to go all out on defense, or when he is and isn't going to go all out for every loose ball in order to not only preserve energy, but prevent injury. I think early in the year, it was fair to say it looked like Tom Brady was going to do anything to avoid getting hit. But over the last few weeks of the season, and certainly in the postseason, he has been more willing to stand in the pocket and take hits. And I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt to say he knows my season's going to be defined by January, so I might give up a few completions in order to preserve my health throughout the course of the season. That's a savvy veteran adjustment that could make early in the year, as it did for me, him look far worse than he was actually going to look at the end of the year when he was willing to stand in the pocket and take those hits because he's so close to the finish line. So I think that's part of this as well.
Yeah, and also, Jenna, really quickly, trust as well. This is a new team for him. Those offensive linemen, will they pick up the guys that they're supposed to? Their running back, can you pick up the will, the nickel, the safety that's coming on the blitz? Do you have my blind side? So the deeper